Good morning, one and all. On behalf of the co-authors, first I would like to thank the organizers, IEEE, and the chair for providing us this opportunity to present our work on interrogation of multiple arrays of fiber Bragg rating sensors in a single scan using a low coherence interferogram. After a brief introduction to the FBG technologies, FBG sensors and FBG technologies, I'll take you through the rationale behind our experiment, the experimental setup by itself, and then the results that we obtained thereafter. Okay, so grating is an optical device with a periodic change in refractive index. An optical fiber with a grating on its core is a fiber Bragg grating. So what basically happens is when a light is shined into the fiber Bragg grating, it reflects a wavelength of light which is characteristic to the period. And this is best governed by Bragg's law, the first expression that you see on the screen. The key characteristic of FPG is its sensitivity, or rather I should say cross sensitivity, both to both temperature and strain. The second expression that you see right down at the bottom of the screen gives the relation between the wavelength reflected by the FPG, the strain and temperature dependencies. The first part of the expression is the temperature dependency, which is due to the coefficient of thermal expansion of the fiber, and the second part of the expression is the strain dependency, which is due to the coefficient of elasticity of the fiber. So in either case, when a physical force acts on a grating, the period changes, and hence you have a change in wavelength of light reflected. So by thus continuously monitoring the shift in wavelength, you can quantify the parameter acting on it, and that is how FPGs are being used as sensors. So FPGs have numerous advantages, and over the last couple of years, they have been used for various applications. Say, for example, there have been studies wherein they have used FPGs for continuously monitoring heart rate and respiratory cycles of patients while they are being scanned through MRI. And I myself have stuck up a few FPGs on transformer for transformer health monitoring. So this was possible only because of FPG's immunity to electromagnetic interference and conduction. And there are also certain other applications where FPGs are being used for structural health monitoring of gas and oil carrying pipelines. This is mainly due to the fact that the FPGs are considered to be inherently safe, mainly due to their composition, which is silica, and secondly, due to the fact that the power of light required to interact with an FPG is very minimal. And the main and key characteristic of FPG is the ease of multiplexability. So a number of FPG sensors can be cascaded in series in either an array or across multiple arrays, say provided they lie, all of them lie within the optical bandwidth of the source. And other advantages include a smaller footprint and high sensitivity. Maybe if you have a chat with the sales rep of an FPG company, they will give you more advantages. So till date, numerous FPG interrogation techniques have been developed using wavelength division multiplexers, tunable lasers, tunable detectors, tunable filters, and arrayed waveguides, so on and so forth. And they have also been interrogated using time division techniques such as time division multiplexing, frequency shifted interferometry, and so on and so forth. They offer excellent advantages like high-speed interrogation of FPGs with similar wavelengths and all. And apart from this, they do have certain limitations like the inability to interrogate all the FPGs in a single scan. And even if they accommodate FPGs with similar wavelengths, they are prone to crosstalks. So in order to address some of the limitations, it is really not possible to address all the limitations in one FPG interrogation technique. So we have come up with an interrogation technique to address some of the limitations, if not all. So the main ideology behind our experiment is the pattern in which you illuminate the FPGs. A typical interferometric interrogation, in a typical interferometric interrogation, you would first shine the low coherent or a broadband source light onto the FPG, and then the resultant reflected spectrum would be used to generate interferograms. So by following this kind of an approach, what basically happens is you cannot interrogate multiple arrays of FPGs and you cannot interrogate FPGs with similar wavelengths even if they are positioned in other arrays. So instead, what we are doing is we are switching the order of illumination. First, we are generating a low coherence interferogram using a interferometer, and then this low coherence interferogram is used to illuminate the FPGs. And as a result, we can expand the FPGs to an n number of arrays, and all the FPG arrays can be interrogated in a single scan, and multiple FPGs in one array can be simultaneously interrogated. So that is the main advantage of our implementation. And also by using Hilbert transform processing technique for processing the interferograms that we obtained from one scan of the interferometer, we can obtain results comparable to Fourier transform spectroscopy with for much shorter OPD. So the diagram that you see on the screen is the experimental setup that we have got. You all must be aware of the Michelson interferometer. So what we have here is an all-fiber implementation of Michelson interferometer, and we have substituted the translational stage of the bulk optic interferometer with a piezo fiber stretcher. So this piezo fiber stretcher here generates an OPD of approximately 13 mm when it is modulated with a low frequency sinusoidal signal. And as I said earlier, light from the broadband source is used to illuminate the Michelson interferometer, and this would result in a low coherence interferogram. This low coherence interferogram is then sent into the arms of the other arms of the interferometer through couplers and isolators and a circulator. The isolators are there in position to prevent the back reflections from going into the other arms of the interferometer, and the reflections are then being captured by dedicated photodiodes, and which are then logged on a PC at approximately 60 kilosamples per second. The topmost figure that you see is the low coherence interferogram, the output of the Michelson interferometer, all fiber Michelson interferometer. And this interferogram is then, this is the interferogram which is being used to illuminate the FPGs, and this would result in interferograms which are which have a coherence higher than that of the source. So these are really not very high coherent interferograms, but they have a coherence length outside the coherence length of the source. So this is the interferogram from the output of the reference FPG, and this is the superposition of interferograms from multiple FPG arrays. So I have just shown one interferogram of one measurement arms. So if you take a look in the previous slide, I have got two measurement arms. And before moving on, just would like to add a point over here. So in this setup, you can, by adding more isolators and couplers, you can actually extend the setup to more arrays, provided you have a minimal insertion loss between the couplers. So I have just shown the one interferogram over here. The other one is not shown. It would look much similar to this. And by using Hilbert transform processing technique and by frequency domain filtering, we can resolve the FPG peaks from the interferogram output. See, as it is, if you take an FFT of the interferogram, it would result in negative as well as positive frequencies. And if you apply any kind of filter, it would result in phase distortion. Phase distortion is the key to interferometric interrogation. So in order to preserve the phase data and as well as remove the negative frequencies, what we are doing is we are first applying Hilbert transform onto the interferogram. This would act as a complex filter, and when we take an FFT of the output of the Hilbert transform, it would automatically remove the negative frequencies, and what you will have is just the positive frequency component that you see here. So the spectrum is not cleaned up yet. You will still have spectral noise or undesired spectral content. This is because of uneven delay sampling. And we are calibrating the OPD by simulating uniform. We are calibrating the OPD by uniform delay sampling, and this would result in clearly resolvable FPG peaks. And the FPG peaks that you saw on the previous slide are then again Hilbert transform is used again to extract the temporal phase vectors. So in the main plot that you see here, the Hilbert transforms of the FPGs are not clearly distinguishable. But in the inset, you have three phase vectors. The first one is the phase vector of all the similar 1549 nanometer FPGs bundled together. And the other one are the 1555 and 1560 and 1566. If you take a look at the zoomed in version of the first vector, you can clearly see the phase vectors of the 1549 nanometer FPGs. So by comparing the slope of the temporal phase vectors of the reference FPG and the measurement FPG, and also by using the peak value of the reference FPGs, we can actually obtain the peak values of the measurement FPGs. So that is the expression that you see on the screen. So in order to validate our design, we did a temperature response test. Two FPGs were subjected to a change in temperature starting from 30 degrees centigrade, and the temperature went on up till 150 degrees centigrade in 10-degree increments. And at each and every dwell period, the scan was taken and the interferogram was locked on the PC. So using the techniques outlined before, we were able to obtain the peak values of the measurement FPGs, and we got a plot for the various temperature values starting from 30 degrees till 150 degrees. So after plotting the data, we added a linear fit and a quadratic fit. The linear fit gave a resolution of approximately 9 picometers in both the cases. The quadratic fit was to confirm the quadratic nature of FPG. So at this point, the quadratic nature is not because of any aberration of the system. It is actually the inherent behavior of FPG. It is best governed by Gauss law. The reason for quadratic behavior is due to the thermo-optic coefficients. So there are two parts to the thermo-optic coefficient. The first part is the coefficient of thermal expansion of the FPG, and the second part is the exciton band gap. And these are the two factors which contribute to the quadratic nature of FPG. And if you want any further details on this, you can maybe take a look at Gordon Flockart's work, which contains a lot of detail on the quadratic nature of FPG. And these are the deviations that we obtained from the quadratic and the linear fits. So to summarize, we have implemented novel interrogation scheme in which using which we can interrogate multiple arrays of multiple FPGs in a single scan and interrogate multiple FPGs in a single array simultaneously. And we were also able to obtain results comparable to that of the Fourier transform spectroscopy using for a much shorter OPD. And the temperature tests of the FPGs concurred with the results of Gordon Flockart's results of FPG's quadratic nature. Thank you.